Magic 97.7 with Maggie Lindemann, 8:37 our time. Mike Barrett joining us for weekly chat. It's called Good Policies with Barrett Insurance Agency. How are you, Mike?
I am as well as one could be given our current circumstances. How about yourself?
Well, being a radio veteran and I myself being in radio here, we've not been through times like this very often. You were here when we did the whole 9/11 thing went down. But as far
I
as
was actually, a quick story, Jeff. I was live on the air doing a live newscast when the second plane struck. So that's a memory that is forever ingrained in my brain.
Yeah, well, we've fortunately not ever had to deal with a national pandemic like this. I mean, we had the swine flu and the bird flu there over the past 15 or 20 years, but nothing quite like this. And this is going to wreak a lot of havoc in the insurance industry. Of course, you know, my girlfriend works in the insurance industry as well, and it's affecting businesses out there, too.
It is. You think about what's happening. It's affecting things beyond our control. We really are in uncharted territory here. This is something very difficult for a lot of people. Now, let's first think about how in Vermont, especially, and in New Hampshire, how schools have been shut down. So now parents are having to figure out how to take care of their children who no longer have school. That in itself is a true financial hardship because either mom or dad have to not work to take care of the children, or they have to now try to find an alternative that's probably going to cost some money, if that's even an option. Who knows if the daycares can continue, because that's going to be potentially a large group, which is what they're trying to prevent. So that's one hardship. The one that's more direct and one that I wanted to chat about this morning is one that we're already seeing inquiries on, and I've been doing a lot of research on, and that is for business owners, okay? Let's talk specifically about restaurants. Restaurants in Vermont as of 2 o'clock today are not allowed to have in-house seating, in-house eating. That's going to be a very difficult situation for many restaurants. Sure, most of them, if not all of them, have for some sort of takeout, but what's going to happen to those who have liquor sales, those who have things that are not necessarily a good takeout item? There is going to be a tremendous drop in business for these businesses. And what is their primary concern? Well, if you have a business owner's policy insurance, there is business interruption coverage that's on many of these policies, if not all of them. While that sounds like a good thing, here is where the problem lies. Business interruption is only triggered for direct physical loss. Now, what is a direct physical loss? Think fire, think lightning, think windstorm, think hail. It has to be a direct physical loss. Another one that we're talking about is civil authority. It's not by choice that many of these businesses are closing. It's by state mandate. So a lot of people will go, well, then that must fall under civil authority coverage, which would make sense. But again, civil authority coverage is also going to be based on direct physical loss. Something is making it unsafe for you to be open. There's also fear of, the feed system. If your business relies on another business to get you the items you need to operate, there's also coverage for that. That also falls into the realm of direct physical loss. Viruses are specifically excluded. All right. Now, again, Jeff, we're in uncharted territory here, so insurance companies are really trying to figure this out, because it's going to look really bad for insurance companies when a lot of denials are starting to take place.
Well, no,
now, as such, what we've been doing is a lot of research, a lot of studying. I actually have a conference this afternoon that I'll be doing remotely with a great organization. It's going to be what we call the Big I there for insurance agencies. They're having an actual business income seminar today to help us try to understand the circumstances and the situations that could arise or will arise through this whole pandemic that we're facing.
Well, it is definitely a serious thing, and I mean, an insurance company cannot plan for something like this. I mean, they happen so few and far between. I think the largest one that comes to my mind, and the most recent one, that would impact a business like this, would be the polio outbreak in Cripes. That was how many years ago?
Yeah, exactly. You think about it, with it being uncharted territory, go back to 9/11, and there was a lot of things that happened then that insurance companies weren't ready for or aware of, or could even fathom that could happen. And as such, since that time, legislation took place, and now there's a little thing called TRIA, on most policies, and that's the Terrorism Risk Insurance Act, which was enacted as a result of 9/11. So now we've talked about business insurance. Real quickly, I want to talk about workers' compensation. Would you have coverage as an employee of a business if you contracted the coronavirus, COVID-19, at work? Well, here is the thing to think about. There are two tests that must be satisfied to be triggering any workers' compensation. The illness or disease must be occupational, and what that means is it has to have come out of the course and the scope of your employment. And the illness or disease must arise and be caused by conditions peculiar, I always have a hard time with that word, to your work. So that means no, workers' compensation is really not going to cover you if you get the coronavirus while at work. Now, somebody in the medical industry who has no choice but has to be involved in this, that may be able to meet one of those triggers, but it's a slippery slope. And there's a lot more to come, and here is my end takeaway for this, Jeff. While we're telling you this morning that if you are forced to be closed, business interruption coverage would probably not be in play, call your insurance company, call your insurance agency, file a claim. Because even if it's denied, it's best to have an official denial on record, especially as FEMA and the federal government come forward and have some sort of, hopefully, plan to help people redeem themselves. They may very well need to know that you had that rejection of the claim to go through the process.
Well, too, I think we need to mention, and you did mention this in your comments, Mike, that for any kind of insurance, okay, first, yes, make the claim. But the two determining factors that we've seen in all of our searching around as well is that you have to be diagnosed with it, not so much if your business shuts down because of it and you're not sick.
Right. And some companies are electively making that decision. Some events have electively made that decision to not have events. If you're talking special event coverage, a lot of those policies would not have coverage for you if you specifically elect to not do it. If you are forced because of the limitation on public gathering, you may, and again, there may be some specific exclusions, but you may have some kind of trigger of coverage. Think about South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, millions of dollars lost through that being called off. So there's a lot of financial impact here in the industry.
Well, close to home, too, our friends at Catamount Arts, for the first time in 45 years, had to announce that they had to cancel all of their events, and that's going to hit them financially as well. So, all right.
Right, and I am sure that they are looking through their insurance, and I would hope that they are, to see if there's any trigger of coverage.
All right,
so,
Mike.
This is a turning wheel, and there's a lot of action going on. New Jersey legislature has some things that they're working on. So this is a moving target. So what I've said this morning is merely just a starting conversational point. Again, call your company, call your agent, have that discussion.
All right, we'll give the number and information to our listeners for you.
Yes, you can give us a call, 748-5224. We are open, although we are asking that if you don't need to come to our physical location, please don't. If you feel that you must, please don't have any symptoms of anything. We want to make sure we're showing an abundance of caution here, but we are located on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury. Online, thebarrettagency.com. Google, Facebook, and YouTube is all Barrett Insurance Agency, and we have enacted a plan so that our office will remain open regardless, so we will be able to make and take phone calls, texting and emailing and helping you along the way. So we will always be readily available for you through this process.
All righty, Mike. Thanks an awful lot. The best to you and your family. Stay safe and healthy, okay?
Same to you, sir. God bless.
All right. We'll chat with you next week.